My daughter was 9 years old when I almost killed her. Not because I didn't love her, but because I listened to my parents instead of her doctor. She was lying on our hallway floor just a few feet from the front door. Her hospital bracelet was still on her tiny wrist. Her lips were dry. Her face was too pale. Her hair was stuck to her forehead with sweat. One hand was stretching toward the phone, but her fingers didn't reach it. And she was alone. I will never forget that picture for as long as I live. Before I tell you everything, let me ask you something. The doctor told you, your child is not ready to go home. It is dangerous to take her out now. But your own parents stood there and said, sign the papers. Get her out of here. Hospitals kill people. She'll be safer at home. Who would you listen to? The trained doctor who just operated on your child? Or the parents who raised you, whose voices still live in your head, even when you're an adult? Think about that. Tell me in the comments who you believe you'd listen to. And tell me where you're watching from, your state, your country. I really do read them. Because this is the story of the night my parents forced me to take my 9-year-old daughter home against medical advice. And left her alone. My name doesn't really matter. You can call me Mom. I'm not rich. I'm not fancy. I'm not living some perfect life on Instagram. I'm just a woman who works long shifts at a small diner, tries to pay the bills, and tries to be a good mother to her daughter, Lucy. When this happened, Lucy was 9 years old. She loved drawing dogs, building little cardboard houses, and watching those silly kid dance videos over and over. She still slept with a stuffed brown bear that only had one eye. She wasn't a sick kid. No major medical history. Just normal childhood stuff. So when she first said, Mom, my stomach hurts, I didn't think much of it. One evening after dinner, she put her plate in the sink, pressed her small hand to the lower right side of her belly and said, Mom, my stomach feels weird. Right here. Maybe you ate too fast, I said. Have some water. Lie down for a bit. She didn't look that sick. No fever. No vomiting. Just a small frown. The next day I mentioned it to my mom on the phone. She's probably just sensitive, my mom said. In our day we didn't run to doctors for every little pain. Give her some tea and let her rest. She'll be fine. My dad's voice chimed in from the background. If it was serious, you'd know. You don't need hospitals. That's how they get you, bills, drama, trouble. That's how I grew up. Hospitals were dangerous. Doctors made things worse. You only went if you were already dying. So I gave Lucy tea. I told her to rest. But the pain kept coming back. At first only in the evenings. Then every afternoon. Then in the mornings too. I'd see her sitting on the couch, one hand pressed to her side, face tight. You okay? I'd ask. Yeah, she'd say. It just hurts a little. It'll go away. We both wanted to believe that. On the 4th or 5th day everything changed. I was washing dishes after dinner. The water was running so the house felt quiet. Then I heard a small sound. Not a word, just a sharp breath like someone trying not to cry. I turned. Lucy was in the hallway, one hand on the wall, the other clutching her stomach. Mom, she whispered. Her voice didn't sound like her own. It was thin. Hickey. Then her knees gave out. The plate in my hand slipped and shattered in the sink. I ran to her and caught her just before her head hit the floor. Her skin was hot. Her forehead was soaked with sweat. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Lucy, I said. What's wrong? Talk to me. It hurts a lot, she gasped. Like something's going to pop. That word, pop, scared me more than anything. Something snapped inside me. I didn't care what my parents said anymore. I didn't care about bills. I didn't care about not overreacting. I picked her up, grabbed my keys and headed for the door. From the living room my mom called out. Where are you going with her? To the hospital. I shouted. She almost fainted. Something's wrong. My dad snapped back. Don't you dare run to the ER. Call the clinic first. They'll keep her all night and send you a bill we can't pay. I didn't stop. The door slammed behind me. For the first time in my life I thought I was really standing up to them. I had no idea how much power their voices still had over me. The ER was bright and cold. They took one look at Lucy and rushed her straight to the back. Nurses in blue and green moved fast around her. They checked her temperature. They pressed on her belly. When they pushed on the lower right side she screamed so loud it cut through me like a knife. They started in 4. Took blood. Sent her for a scan. At one point when a nurse stepped out, Lucy looked at me with huge, terrified eyes. Mom, am I going to die? My throat closed. No, I said immediately, even though I didn't know. No, baby. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to fix this. A doctor walked in. Mid-40s. Tired eyes. Calm, steady voice. I'm Dr. Harris, he said. We have her test results back. Your daughter has appendicitis. He explained what it meant. Her appendix was badly infected and swollen. If it burst, infection could spread through her whole body. That can be life-threatening, he said. Life-threatening, I repeated. Yes, he said. She needs surgery. Tonight. The sooner the better. I looked at Lucy. She was half awake, tears shining in her eyes. Will it hurt? She whispered. You'll be asleep during the surgery, the doctor said gently. Afterward you'll be sore, but we can help with that. We'll take good care of you. Then he turned to me. You are her mother, he said. I need your consent to operate. Yes, I said. Please. Do whatever you have to do. For a moment I felt relief. We had a name. We had a plan. Then my parents walked in. And that's when everything started to go wrong. My dad came in first, his jaw tight, his eyes already angry. He didn't look at Lucy. He looked at the machines. My mom followed, clutching her purse, her face a mix of worry and anger. What did they say? She demanded. She has appendicitis, I said. They have to remove her appendix. Tonight. Surgery. My mom snapped. Already? Of course they do. That's how they make money. My dad folded his arms. She's not getting cut open, he said flatly. Dr. Harris stood there, calm but firm. Sir, he said, your granddaughter is in serious danger. We need to operate before her appendix bursts. My dad glared at him. You doctors always want to cut, he said. You never try anything else first. Back in our day, kids got better at home. Dad, I said, my voice shaking, look at her. He glanced at Lucy for half a second, then looked away. Dr. Harris turned to me. You are her legal guardian, he said. I need your permission, not theirs. If we don't operate, her appendix can burst. If that happens, infection can spread. She could die. I don't say that to scare you. I say it so you understand. My dad stepped closer to me. You listen to him over your own father? He hissed. I swallowed. I'm listening to the person who can save her life, I said quietly. His eyes flashed. Remember your brother? He said suddenly. The room seemed to tilt. My brother. I repeated. I had fuzzy memories. A boy laughing. A little backpack. A door slamming. Crying. We never talked about him. Doctors killed him, my dad said. Hospital mistakes. They said it was just a virus. They missed it. He died on a table under lights like these. Do you want that for your daughter? Tears stung my eyes. Dr. Harris spoke softly. I am very sorry for your loss, he said. But right now this little girl needs help. I cannot change what happened with your son. I can change what happens here tonight. He looked at me. I strongly recommend we go ahead with surgery. I took a shaky breath. Do it, I said. My dad looked like I had slapped him. You'll regret this, he muttered. Just like before. But they took Lucy to surgery. The waiting room felt like a cage. My parents sat stiff, arms crossed, faces hard. Every few minutes, a doctor came out for another family. Sometimes they brought good news. Sometimes they didn't. I sat with my hands in my lap, praying to a God I wasn't even sure I believed in. Please let her live. Please let her come back to me. I'll do better. I'll be better. Just let her live. After what felt like forever, Dr. Harris came back. He took off his cap and mask. She did well, he said. We removed her appendix. It was very inflamed, close to bursting, but we got it out in time. She's stable for now, but the next 48 hours are very important. We have to watch her for signs of infection. Relief washed over me. Thank you, I said. My dad didn't say anything. My mom muttered, they always say it was just in time. Dr. Harris continued. We need her to stay here at least 2 nights. Maybe 3. We need to watch her fever, heart rate, and blood tests. If infection spreads, we have to act fast. We can only do that if she's here. I understand, I said. He looked straight at me. I'm serious, he said. Don't take her home early. He left. As soon as the door closed, my dad leaned toward me. We're not staying here for 2 nights, he said. Do you know how much that costs? She almost died, I said quietly. She's fine now, he snapped. They cut out the thing. Now they just want to keep her in a bed for money. I'm not going to watch them bleed you dry with bills. My mom nodded. She'll heal better at home, she said. No beeping machines. No strangers. Her own bed. My cooking. I looked at Lucy through the glass. She was pale and small tubes in her arm. I felt torn in half. If you've ever felt stuck between your parents' voices and your child's needs, you know that feeling. If you get it, you can type, I get it, in the comments. You don't have to explain. You'll know what you mean. The next day, Lucy woke up from surgery. It hurts, she whispered. I know, baby, I said softly. You had surgery. But the doctor said you're going to get better. We just have to stay here until he says it's safe to go home. Dr. Harris checked her again. She's doing okay, he said. But her white blood cell count is high. Her heart beats very fast when she sits up. I still want her here another night. Maybe 2. I nodded. Hey, I said. But my dad had already made up his mind. As soon as the doctor left, he said, enough. We're taking her home today. You heard him, I said. She needs to stay. What I heard, my dad snapped, is a man who gets paid by the day. The longer she stays, the more they charge. You're already drowning in bills. They will crush you. Who's going to help you? Them. Or us? He grabbed my shoulder too tight. We'll help, he said. You won't be alone if you take her home. That promise, you won't be alone, was always his hook. It was almost never true. Dr. Harris came back later. I want to discharge her, my dad said before I could speak. Dr. Harris turned to me. I strongly advise against that, he said. She is not ready. If you insist, I cannot lock you here. But you will have to sign a discharge against medical advice form. That means I am telling you this is dangerous. A nurse brought in the form. Ma'am, she said gently, you do not have to sign this. We recommend she stays. My dad's hand tightened on my shoulder. He leaned in. Remember your brother, he whispered. Remember what happened when we trusted doctors. His words went straight into the oldest part of me, the scared little girl who heard stories about a brother who never came home. I looked at Lucy. Her eyes were heavy. Her face was tired. Can we go home, Mom? She murmured. I don't like it here. Smells weird. I want my room. She was 9. She didn't understand. I took the pen. My hand shook as I signed. I could feel Dr. Harris watching. He looked sad. And angry. Please remember what I said, he told me. If anything seems wrong, fever, worse pain, trouble breathing, weakness, you bring her back immediately. Don't wait. Not even a few hours. I nodded. I promise, I said. I meant it. At that moment I really meant it. I had no idea I would break that promise the same day. They wheeled Lucy out in a little wheelchair wrapped in a thin blanket. We helped her into the car. Every bump in the road made her wince. You okay? I kept asking. Yeah, she whispered. But her face said otherwise. At home, we set her up in my old bedroom on the first floor. Clean sheets, extra pillows, a bucket nearby just in case. My mom made soup. My dad found an old TV for the foot of the bed. See, he said to her. Much better than that place. You'll be fine. For a little while it almost felt normal. Then I noticed her cheeks turning red. Her breathing a little fast. Mom, I'm thirsty, she said. I brought her water. He took one sip. And turned away. My stomach feels tight, she whispered. And my head feels floaty. We took her temperature 101.8. Low fever, my mom said. That's normal after surgery. My dad waved a hand. Doctors will act like every little thing is an emergency. He said. Stop worrying. She's home. She'll bounce back. But inside I heard Dr. Harris's voice. Watch for fever. Watch her breathing. If anything feels off, bring her back immediately. I stood next to her bed, watching her chest rise and fall. A little too fast. Something in me was scared. But I pushed it down. Around 6 in the evening my dad's phone rang. He stepped into the hall, came back already putting on his jacket. That was the shop, he said. A pipe burst. If I don't fix it, I lose the job. If I lose the job, who's going to help you with these hospital bills? My mom grabbed her purse. I'm going with him, she said. He needs help. What about Lucy? I asked. You said I wouldn't be alone. With this. You're not alone, my dad said. You're here. You're her mother. You can handle it for a few hours. I have to go to work, I said. I already missed a shift. If I miss another, they might fire me. Then call in again, he said. If they fire you, you can move back in with us. The way he said that made my skin crawl. What if you stay and I go to work? I asked. Or Mom stays. I'm the only one who can fix that pipe, he snapped. You want all of us out of work? He was already halfway out the door. My phone buzzed. A text from my boss. Are you coming in or not? We're slammed. If you're not here tonight, don't bother coming tomorrow. My chest tightened. If I stayed, I might lose my job. If I went, I'd leave my post-surgery 9-year-old alone. I know what you're probably thinking. I think it too every day. Tell me honestly in the comments. Would you have stayed and risked losing your only income? Or gone telling yourself you'd only be gone a few hours? You don't have to protect my feelings. I already know how bad my choice was. I kissed Lucy's warm forehead. Baby, I whispered, I have to go to work for a little while. I'll call you. Grandma and Grandpa will be back later. If you feel really bad, the phone is right here. You can call me. Or you can press 911. Okay. Her eyes barely opened. Okay, Mom, she murmured. Love you. I love you too, I said. I walked out of her room, out of the house. The door clicked shut. I left my sick 9-year-old alone after surgery. And I walked straight into a nightmare. What happened next, I didn't see with my own eyes. I had to piece it together. From what doctors told me later, what my daughter remembered, and what the neighbor heard. The house was quiet after I left. Too quiet. At some point, Lucy woke up. The room was dim. Her mouth was dry. Her head felt heavy. Her belly hurt much worse now. She saw the glass of water on the nightstand. She reached for it with a shaky hand. Her fingers brushed it. The glass tipped, fell to the floor. Water spilling everywhere. She tried to sit up. Pain exploded in her stomach. Her vision blurred. Black dots danced in front of her eyes. She gasped. Her heart pounded too fast. She lay still for a few seconds. Try not to pass out. Mom, she called. Her voice was weak. No answer. Grandma, she tried. Silence. Grandpa. Nothing. Fear crept into her chest. She remembered the doctor's words. If anything feels wrong, you call 911. Right away. Don't wait. The phone was on the dresser. To you and me, that's just a couple of steps. To her, it looked like a mile. She swung her legs over the side of the bed. Her feet touched the floor. The wood felt cold. She tried to stand. Her knees shook. Her legs trembled. She grabbed the bed for support, then took a small step toward the dresser. Every movement sent sharp pain through her belly. The room swayed. She reached the dresser, grabbed the edge, and felt around for the phone. Her fingers closed around it. She pulled it closer, almost dropping it twice. As her hand shook, she stared at the screen. She pressed 9, then 1, then started to press 1 again, and her hand slipped. The phone fell to the floor with a dull thud, sliding just out of reach. In the next room, the house phone rang exactly once. Our neighbor later said she heard it through the wall. She waited for it to ring again. It never did. Lucy tried to bend down for the phone. Her body couldn't do it. She slowly slid down the side of the dresser, until she was lying on the floor, her cheek pressed against the cool wood. Mom, she whispered. Please come back. Her eyes closed. The fever climbed. The infection spread. No one was there. At the diner, I was pouring coffee and pretending everything was normal. Every time my phone buzzed in my apron pocket, my heart jumped. During a short break, I finally checked it. 3 missed calls from an unknown number. 1 voicemail. My stomach twisted. I pressed play. Hello, this is Dr. Harris from the hospital. We received a partial 911 hang up from your address. We've tried to reach you and your home phone. Please call us back immediately or bring your daughter to the emergency room. This could be serious. The cup in my hand almost fell. I didn't ask my boss. I didn't say goodbye. I just grabbed my keys and ran. In the car, my hands shook so badly I could hardly get the key into the ignition. On the way home, the world outside was a blur of lights. My brain kept saying the same words. Please be okay. Please be okay. Please be okay. As I turned onto our street, I saw it. Our front door was not fully closed, it was slightly open. A thin crack of darkness. My heart stopped. I jumped out of the car before it fully stopped moving, ran to the door, and pushed it open. Lucy. I yelled. Lucy. No answer. The house felt wrong. Too still. I flipped the hallway light and ran toward the bedroom. Then I saw her on the floor, curled on her side a few feet from the dresser. Her hospital bracelet bright against her skin. The phone lying on the floor, screen dark. Lucy. I screamed, dropping to my knees. Her skin was burning hot. Her face was flushed red. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Her eyes were half open but unfocused. Mom, she whispered. Barely a sound. I'm here, baby, I cried. I'm here. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I grabbed the phone with shaking hands and dialed 911. My daughter, I sobbed. She just had surgery. She's burning up. She collapsed on the floor. He tried to call. She couldn't. Please send someone. 911, what's your emergency? The operator asked. Is she breathing? Yes, but it's fast. Is she conscious? Barely. An ambulance is on the way, the operator said. Stay on the line. Keep talking to her. Try to keep her awake. I held Lucy's face. Stay with me, I begged. Look at me. Please. Don't go to sleep. Her eyes flickered. It hurts, she whispered. I know, I cried. I know. This is my fault. I never should have left. I am so sorry. Sirens cut through the quiet. Red and blue lights flashed against our walls. The paramedics rushed in with a stretcher and checked her vitals. Pressure's low, one said. Heart rate high. She's febrile. They lifted her onto the stretcher. Mom, she murmured. I'm right here, I said, walking beside her to the ambulance. I'm not leaving again. I promise. Inside the ambulance, I heard words like sepsis, infection, support her pressure. Big words. Scary words. All I could think was that she could die because I took her out early. She could die because I left. They didn't take her to the regular floor. They took her to the ICU. The intensive care unit. More machines. More wires. More serious faces. Dr. Harris met us there. He looked at the monitors, at Lucy, then at me. She has a severe infection, he said. Her body is in sepsis. Her blood pressure's low. Her heart is working too hard. We are doing everything we can, he said. She is very sick. Is she going to die? I whispered. He didn't answer right away. We have a chance because you called, he said. But she is not out of danger. He looked at me for a long moment. I warned you about taking her home early, he said quietly. I told you this could happen. Tears blurred my vision. I know, I choked out. I listened to my parents. I told myself she'd be okay for a few hours. I was wrong. I'm not here to punish you, he said. I'm here to save her if I can. He stepped out. A few minutes later, a woman in a navy jacket walked in holding a folder. She had kind eyes, but they were sharp. Last name, she said. My name is Miss Turner. I'm with Child Protective Services. My heart dropped into my stomach. The hospital is required to call us, she said gently, when a child comes in very sick after being discharged against medical advice. Especially if that child was left alone. I'm here to understand what happened and to make sure your daughter is safe. Those words made my legs feel weak. Child Protective Services. I had seen stories online. I had heard whispers. Now they were here. For me. For us. I'm not here to attack you, Ms. Turner said softly. Tonight your daughter is staying here. She is safer in this bed than anywhere else. You can stay with her. There will be a hearing in a few weeks, she continued. A judge will decide what happens next. For now, I need to understand what led up to this. She asked me to step into a small family room just outside the ICU. 4 chairs. A box of tissues. A picture on the wall that didn't help. We sat across from each other. She opened the folder and clicked her pen. Who lives in your home with your daughter? Just me and Lucy. Any other children? No. Where are the grandparents? About 15 minutes away. They help sometimes. She wrote that down. How long had your daughter been in pain? About a week, I said. It started as a stomach ache. Then it got worse. The night I brought her in, she almost collapsed. Who decided to bring her to the hospital? I did. My parents didn't want me to. Did the doctor recommend keeping her after surgery? Yes. What did he recommend? At least 2 nights. Maybe 3. He said it was important to watch for infection. And what did you do? I swallowed. I signed her out early. Against his advice. Why? My parents, I said. They scared me about doctors. About money. They brought up my brother. They said if I didn't sign her out, they would stop helping me. I knew it felt wrong, I said. But when my dad started talking, I felt like a kid again. And then, she asked. Tell me about last night. We brought her home, I said. She had a fever. She felt off. I thought about bringing her back. My parents said it was normal. They got a call from my dad's work. They left. I had a shift at the diner. My boss told me to come in or don't come back. I told myself it would just be a few hours. She was sleepy. I told myself she'd be fine. I left her alone. The words tasted like poison. When I got home, I said quietly, the front door was open. She was on the floor. She tried to call 911. The phone dropped. She couldn't move. I called for help. They brought her here. Dr. Harris said she might have died if I waited longer. Miss Turner didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She just kept writing. Then she said, have you ever had any history with CPS before? As a parent? Or as a child? No, I said. Not as a parent. Not that I remember. As a child. She looked down. At the folder. There is a very old note here. She said gently. From when you were 10. My heart jumped. What note? I asked. The teacher reported bruises on your arm. He said. The school nurse suspected a possible fracture that never got treated. Your parents said he fell off a swing. You repeated that story. The case was closed quickly. Does that ring a bell? I saw it all at once. A younger me on a kitchen floor. My father's hand grabbing my arm. Too hard. The sharp crack. Bang. My mother's hissed whisper. Say you fell. We don't bring family business to strangers. I nodded. Yes, I whispered. I remember now. Miss Turner closed the folder slightly. Your parents didn't trust hospitals back then either. He said. They refused x-rays. Refused follow UPS. And now, years later, their beliefs about doctors and hospitals have put your daughter in danger. Can you see that pattern? I wiped my eyes. Yes, I said. I can see it now. I couldn't see it then. I thought it was just how things are. I thought they were strong, and everyone else was weak. If you keep doing what they did. She said gently, where do you think Lucy will end up? I didn't need to answer that. She already knew. If you're watching this, and you've ever noticed, you were repeating your parents' mistakes without meaning to. Type I see it now in the comments. You don't have to say what it is. Just those 4 words. Sometimes that's the first step. After Miss Turner left, I went back to Lucy's ICU room. The lights were dim. Machines hummed softly. Her little hand rested on the blanket. So I pulled a chair right up next to her bed and took her hand. I'm here now. I whispered. I'm not going anywhere. Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Checked numbers. Adjusted tubing. Sometimes Lucy's eyelids flickered. Once she mumbled something I couldn't understand. I thought about walking out that door earlier. About telling myself she'd just sleep. I thought about my dad's words. Remember your brother. Pictured a younger version of him standing by a different hospital bed, watching a boy lose his life. Pictured how that moment froze something inside him. How he turned that pain into rule instead of getting help. Never trust hospitals. He wrapped that rule around himself like armor. Then he wrapped it around me. Then I almost wrapped it around my own child. I leaned my head against the bed rail and whispered, I'm so sorry, Lucy. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. You didn't ask for this. I chose wrong. I believed the wrong people. But I swear to you, this is where it changes. Right here. Right now. I didn't sleep that night. I just stayed. The next morning, my parents came to the hospital. They walked into the ICU room, wearing the yellow gowns and blue shoe covers. My dad looked around at the machines and monitors. Look at this, he muttered. She was fine at home. We bring her here, and now she's hooked up to all this junk. This is exactly what I was afraid of. She was not fine at home, I said quietly. She was on the floor. My mom's eyes went straight to Lucy. Oh, my poor baby, she whispered, covering her mouth. What have they done to you? Dr. Harris was checking a chart. They're trying to save her, I said. They didn't do this to her. They're helping her. My dad pointed at me. You never should have rushed her to the hospital in the first place, he said. She got sick here. Hospitals are filthy. Dad, I said. She had appendicitis. Her appendix was about to burst. He looked at Dr. Harris. You sure about that? He snapped. Yes. Dr. Harris said calmly. We have scans, lab reports, surgical notes. Her appendix was severely inflamed. If we had not removed it, it would likely have burst. If you had waited even one more day to bring her in the first time, she might not be alive now. My dad's jaw tightened. What about now? He demanded. She gets worse here. She was better at home. Dr. Harris took a slow breath. She has a serious infection, he said. Some of that may have started before she left. Some of it got worse because she left early. Some of it got worse because she was alone too long when she started to crash. He looked at me. I'm not saying this to shame you, he said. I'm saying it so we don't repeat it. I nodded. I already knew. My dad shook his head. You people killed my son, he muttered. Now you want me to trust you with my granddaughter. Dr. Harris looked at him steadily. I understand. You're angry, he said. I'm not asking you to like me. I am asking you to understand a simple fact. Right now, this is the safest place for Lucy to be. Not because we're perfect, but because we have medicine, missions, and people watching her every second. Before my dad could answer, someone cleared her throat. In the doorway, Miss Turner. She stepped in, folder in hand. Good morning, he said. I'm glad you're all here. We need to talk. We moved back into that small room, next to the ICU. This time, my parents came too. Miss Turner looked at all of us. Yesterday, she said, I spoke to your daughter about what happened. Today, I need to hear from you two as well. She looked at my parents. You are Lucy's grandparents, she said, and you were a big part of the decisions made this week. My dad crossed his arms. We didn't do anything wrong, he said. We just wanted her out of that place. Miss Turner tilted her head. You pushed strongly for discharge, he said. You brought up the death of your son to influence your daughter. Can you tell me what happened back then with Michael? My dad's face closed off. We already told the other doctor. He grumbled. They messed up. We lost a child. Miss Turner opened another section of the folder. I have the old report, she said gently. It says, Michael had a fever for several days before you brought him in. It says, the clinic doctor advised you to admit him. It says, you refused. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My dad's eyes flared. That doctor didn't know anything. He snapped. He said, maybe admit him, maybe not. We decided to wait. So what? Parents wait all the time. And later, Miss Turner asked, after he died, when the hospital tried to talk to you about genetic testing, about a possible immune condition, did you go back? My dad stared at the floor. No, he said gruffly. My son was dead. I didn't want their science talk. We took the money. We buried him. That was it. And after that, Miss Turner said, you made your own rule. No more hospitals. No more doctors. No more trust. You taught that rule to your daughter. And now, she has almost lost her child. The same way. Silence. My mom started to cry quietly. We never meant for this to happen, she said. We thought we were keeping everyone safe. Intention and impact are not the same. Miss Turner said softly. You were hurt, you were scared, that's true, but fear does not make good rules. Fearful rules can hurt the next person in line. In this case, your granddaughter. He turned to me. Do you see that? She asked. I nodded. I see it now, I said. But I didn't. For a long time. Miss Turner closed the folder. Here is where we are, he said. Your daughter almost died last night. The doctor's decisions saved her life. Your decisions put her at risk. We cannot change yesterday. We can only change tomorrow. So I need to know, are you willing to do things differently from now on? She looked at me. I thought about Lucy, about that floor, about the phone. Yes, I said. Whatever it takes. She looked at my parents. They were quiet. My dad finally said, I don't trust hospitals. I don't trust doctors. I never will. But, he swallowed. I don't want to bury another child. He said, if that means I shut up and sit in the corner while you people do work, I'll try. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. If you're still watching, have you ever realized your family's rules came from a place of pain instead of wisdom? If you have, type breaking the cycle in the comments. You don't have to give details, just that phrase, because that's what this was now. Not a neat fix, not a magic moment, just the first crack in a very old cycle. The next day, Lucy's fever started to come down. Her numbers on the monitor looked a little better. Her skin was less red, more like herself. That afternoon, her eyes opened fully. She blinked, looked around, saw the tube under her nose, the wires. For, Mom, she whispered. I was right beside her. I'm here, I said. I'm right here. She frowned. Where am I? She asked. You're in the ICU, I said. You got very sick after we went home. The doctors were helping you fight an infection. She looked confused. I remember being at home. She said slowly. I remember trying to get the water. I remember the floor and the phone. And nothing there rolled down her cheek. Did I do something wrong? She asked. Her voice was so small. My heart broke. No, I said firmly. You did nothing wrong. The grown UPS did. Her eyes looked into mine. You left. She said quietly. I wasn't angry. Just a fact. Yes, I said. I left. I listened to Grandma and Grandpa instead of the doctor. I worried more about money and my job than about staying right next to you. I told myself a fake story that you'd be fine alone for a few hours. That story was a lie. I made a terrible choice, almost the worst a mother can make. And I am so sorry, Lucy. She bit her lip. I was scared. She whispered. I called for you. But maybe you forgot me. Those words cut deeper than anything. I will never forget you, I said, tears streaming now. Never. I can't undo what I did. But I can promise you this. From now on, I listen to your doctors. Not to fear. Not to Grandma. Not to Grandpa. Not to my job. You come first. Boys. Do you understand? She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, she said quietly. She reached out and took my hand. We stayed like that for a long time. Her hand in mine, which is beeping softly around us. If you've ever had to admit a painful truth to your child, you know how hard that is. If you've done it, type I told the truth in the comments. No details needed. Just that. Because telling the truth was the only way we could go forward. A day or two later, Miss Turner came back with more papers. Lucy is improving, she said, smiling slightly. That's the good news. The hard news is, we are opening a CPS case. I swallowed. What does that mean? I asked. It means, she said, that we will be in your life for a while. We will check in. We will visit your home. We will see how things are going. We are not removing her today. We are giving you advice so that you can change. In some cases, she added, we take children right away. In your case, because you brought her in the first time, because you called 911, because you are not denying what you did. We're trying a different path first. What do I have to do? I asked. Several things. He said. 1. You will attend a parenting course. We assign. 2. You will go to individual therapy to deal with your past and your fear. 3. There is a rule now about your parents. They are not allowed to make medical decisions for your daughter. They are not allowed to interfere with doctor visits. If they try, you want to know. There will be a court hearing. A judge will decide if Lucy stays in your custody under supervision or if she is placed somewhere else. How that goes will depend a lot on what you do between now and then. I nodded. I'll do all of it. I said, whatever you ask. I don't care how hard it is. I'm not losing her. Miss Turner studied my face. Remember this feeling? She said softly. On days when the classes are boring, when the therapy feels heavy, when your parents push back, remember this room, this bed, this fear, and let that push you to keep going. When Lucy was finally stable enough, they moved her out of ICU to a regular room. A few days later, he came home, this time only when the doctor said it was safe. We had follow-up visits booked. We had discharge papers. We had a list of warning signs. I followed all of them. At home, Miss Turner came by often. He walked through our small apartment, checked where we put the medicine, made sure we had food. She talked to Lucy, alone sometimes. Do you feel safe? Does Mom listen when you're sick? I was scared every time they talked, but I didn't stop it. I wanted Lucy to have someone else she could tell the truth to. My parents still wanted to be involved. They called a lot. One evening, my dad said, we're coming over tomorrow to check on Lucy. Hey, I said, but there are rules now. Silence. What rules? He asked. No more medical advice. I said, no telling me to skip doctors. No telling Lucy that medicine is bad or that she's weak for needing help. If you start that, the visit ends. You can't tell me. He started. I said quietly, because this is my house. Because I almost lost my daughter listening to you. Because if CPS hears you're doing that, they could take her. This is not that. This is life and death. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, you really think we're that dangerous? I think your rules are. I said, you're my parents. I love you, but I'm not letting your fear run my home anymore. He made a sound like a frustrated sigh. I'll try, he said. No promises. I won't slip. That's fine. I said, if you slip, I'll stop you. If you keep going, you go home. That's how it is now. When they came, the next day my mom brought soup. My dad brought a new coloring book for Lucy. He looked uncomfortable sitting in the living room, while I gave Lucy her antibiotics. He opened his mouth once like he was going to say something about too much medicine. I looked at him. He closed it. We were all learning. Twice a week I went to a parenting class at the library. It was me and a dozen other adults sitting in cheap chairs, while a teacher talked about things we should have known a long time ago. How to handle stress without taking it out on your kids. How to make a safety plan for emergencies. How to identify when your own childhood is affecting your parenting. Sometimes I felt angry. I'm not a child, I thought. Why am I sitting here with a worksheet about feelings? Then I'd remember the floor, the phone, the hospital, and I'd keep listening. Once a week, I went to therapy. At first I didn't know what to say. The therapist, a calm woman in her 40s, asked, what was it like in your house growing up? Words started coming. I told her about my dad's rules. About that swing accident that wasn't true. About my brother, the ghost no one talked about. Your body, the therapist said once, learned that asking for help was dangerous. That if you said, I'm hurt, I need a doctor, you would be punished. Called weak, called dramatic. So now, as an adult, part of you still believes that asking for help makes you bad. And that part of you almost killed your daughter. It hurt to hear. But it was right. We can't change what your parents did, she said. But we can change how much power those old voices have over you now. We worked on hearing my own voice. The one that said, this feels wrong, even when my dad was yelling. The one that said, take her to the hospital and stay. The one I wanted to listen to next time. Weeks passed. Lucy went back to school part-time. CPS kept checking in. We had a big calendar on the wall with all the visits, classes and appointments, and circled in red on one date near the end of the month. Court. My stomach hurt every time I looked at that circle. One hearing, Ms. Turner had said. He'll hear all sides. He'll decide. If Lucy stays with you under supervision or if she is removed. I had a lawyer from legal aid. A tired woman with kind eyes. She met with me the week before court. Here's the plan, she said. You tell the truth. All of it. You don't try to make yourself look perfect. The judge has already read the reports. He knows what happened. What he wants to see now is whether you are hiding or whether you are growing. She looked me in the eye. You will be scared, she said. That's normal. But remember, lying has never protected you. It didn't protect you as a kid. It won't protect you now. Honesty and change are your best chance. The night before court I lay awake, watching the shadows on my ceiling. Lucy slept in the next room. I could hear her soft breathing. I whispered a promise to the dark. No matter what that judge says, I said softly, I will keep changing. Even if I have to do it without her in the house. But please let me do it with her here. Please. The morning of court we drove downtown. The courthouse was big and gray with tall columns. My parents met us there standing awkwardly in the steps. You don't have to come in, I said. We should be there, my mom replied. For Lucy. For you. My dad looked uncomfortable in a shirt and tie. We walked through metal detectors, down long hallways with echoing footsteps. Inside the courtroom the judge sat high up. Miss Turner and her supervisor sat at one table. My lawyer and I sat at another. My parents sat in the back row. Lucy did not come. Too stressful for a child, they said. I missed her anyway. The judge looked over some papers. We are here to decide, he said, whether Lucy, last name, can safely remain in her mother's custody under supervision. My heart beat so hard I could hear it. Miss Turner spoke first, calm and clear. She told our story. The surgery. The early discharge. The night alone. The ICU. But she also told the other parts. The parenting classes. The therapy. The boundaries with my parents. She has made serious mistakes, Ms. Turner said. But she is not denying them. She is taking steps to change. We recommend supervision, not removal. Then Dr. Harris spoke. He described the medical side, the near-burst appendix. His warning. My signature on that form. The second infection. But he also said, she brought Lucy in the first time. She called 911 when she found her on the floor. She has followed every medical instruction since. In my opinion, she is capable of learning from this and keeping her daughter safe with support. Then it was my turn. The judge looked at me. Tell me, he said, in your own words what happened. I stood up. My legs felt like they were made of paper. I took a breath. And I started to speak. I stood up in that courtroom facing the judge. My knees felt weak. My hands were cold. My heart was loud in my ears. Tell me, the judge said, in your own words what happened. I took a breath. And I told him. I told him about the first small pain in Lucy's stomach. How she said, Mom, it hurts right here, and pressed her hand to the lower right side of her belly. How my parents said he was overreacting. How they told me kids these days are soft, and we didn't need doctors. I told him about the night she almost collapsed in the hallway hot and shaking, and how I finally grabbed the keys and drove to the ER. I told him about Dr. Harris, the test results, the words life-threatening, the surgery, and then I told him about my parents. How my father stood in that hospital room and said, remember your brother. Hospitals kill people. How he pushed and pushed until I felt 10 years old again. Small. Feared. afraid to say no. I knew what the doctor was saying. I told the judge. I heard his warning. I knew inside myself that leaving was wrong. But I let my father's voice be louder than my own. But I was still his child instead of being my child's mother. I signed her out against medical advice. I did that. No one else. My voice shook, but I kept going. I told him about bringing her home. The fever. The way she said. Her stomach felt tight, and her head felt floaty. I told him about my parents' phone call, the burst pipe, them leaving the house. And then I told him about my job. My boss texted me, I said. He said if I didn't come in not to come back. I was scared about money. About rent. About bills. So I told myself a story to make it okay to walk out that door. I said, she'll just sleep. It's only a few hours. Nothing bad will happen that fast. That story was a lie. I left my child alone after major surgery. He tried to get to the phone. She tried to call 911. She collapsed on the floor. If I had come home a little later, she might have died right there. Because of me. My throat hurt. Tears were running down my face. The judge watched me carefully, but his face didn't give much away. I told him about the ambulance. The ICU. The word sepsis. I told him about Miss Turner from CPS. About the parenting classes, the therapy, and the new rules with my parents. I can't stand here and pretend I'm a perfect mother, I said quietly. I'm not. I failed my child in a huge way. But I can stand here and say I'm not pretending it didn't happen. I'm not telling myself pretty stories anymore. I will not let my parents' fear make choices for my daughter again. I am changing. Not for the court. For her. I glanced back at my parents. My mom was crying. My dad looked older than I had ever seen him. When I finished, the courtroom was silent. You could have heard a pin drop. The judge looked at Miss Turner. Final recommendation? He asked. Miss Turner stood. Your Honor, she said. Child Protective Services recommends that Lucy remain with her mother under supervision. We do not recommend removal at this time. We ask for continued home visits, ongoing therapy, and clear limits on the grandparents' role in medical decisions. The judge nodded. Then he looked at me. Stand up, Miss last name, he said. I stood. He took off his glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose, then put them back on. You failed your child, he said. Not once but twice. First, when you signed her out of the hospital against strong medical advice. Second, when you left her alone after major surgery. These are not small mistakes. I swallowed. Yes, Your Honor, I whispered. I know. But, he continued, you also saved your child. You brought her in the first time when she collapsed. You called 911 the second time when you found her on the floor. You have not tried to hide from what you did. You have engaged in the services CPS offered. You have set early boundaries with your parents. And you have shown both remorse and the beginning of change. He paused, then looked down at the papers on his desk. At this time, he said, I am ordering that Lucy, last name, remain in your custody. You will continue therapy. You will complete the parenting course. You will comply with all CPS visits. And you will follow all medical advice for your daughter. If there is any further incident of serious neglect or ignoring medical advice, this court will not hesitate to remove her. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, I said, my voice shaking. I understand. Thank you. I won't waste this chance. He nodded once. See that you don't. He hit the gavel. The sound echoed in my bones. It was done. I didn't lose her. Not that day. Outside the courtroom, my parents and I stood in the hallway. My mom hugged me, crying. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry. We never meant to, we didn't realize. My dad stood a little apart, his hands clenched into fists. Then he looked at me. I told them what I did, he muttered. I told them I pushed you. That I used Michael to scare you. They wrote it down. His eyes filled with tears. I never wanted this for you, he said softly. I never wanted you sitting in a courtroom begging to keep your own kid. I was trying to protect you from what I felt that day with your brother. I see now. I just passed that pain on. He looked away. I'm sorry, he said, for the second time in my life. Something shifted inside me. Just a little. Not enough to erase what happened. But enough to make room for something new someday. Life didn't turn perfect after court. Bills still came. Work was still hard. CPS still visited. But we had direction. Lucy went back to school. He drew. She laughed. Sometimes she woke from bad dreams, about the floor. I went to therapy. I learned how to hear my fear without letting it take the wheel. Then one day a plain white envelope showed up in our mailbox. No return address. Just my name written by hand. I almost threw it out with the junk mail. But something about the careful handwriting made me stop. I opened it at the kitchen table after Lucy went to bed. Inside was a single page. At the top in neat black letters it read, "Regarding the death of your brother, Michael." My heart jumped. Below were copies of old hospital forms, dates, test results, notes. And at the bottom a short handwritten message. "I was the resident doctor on your brother's case. I have carried that day with me for many years. I am also the doctor who treated your daughter this year. I didn't realize the connection at first. When I did, I requested the old file. There is more to what happened than your parents were told. And more than you were told. If you want the full truth, call this number." Below it was a phone number. The signature was familiar. Dr. Harris. I sat there for several minutes staring at the page. The same man who tried to stop me from taking Lucy home. The same man who fought to save her in the ICU. Had also been there the night my brother died. He had been part of my father's deepest fear. And now he was asking if I wanted the full story. Not the half story I grew up with. The real one. Let me ask you something. If you found out years later that there was more to a loved one's death than you were told, would you want to know? Or would you rather keep the simple story you grew up with? Tell me in the comments. Know the truth. Or keep it simple. You don't have to explain. As I chose know the truth. And it changed everything. I picked up my phone. My thumb hovered over the numbers. I could hear the TV on in the next room. Some kids show. Lucy laughing. I dialed the number. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. On the 4th ring a voice said, "Hello. Dr. Harris speaking." I swallowed. "Victor. It's me," I said. I said my name. "I'm Lucy's mom. And Michael's sister." There was a pause. "Yes," he said quietly. "I was hoping you'd call. Are you alone?" He asked. I looked at Lucy's closed bedroom door. "She's watching TV in the other room," I said. "It's just me in here." He took a breath. "All right," he said. "What I'm about to say won't be easy. But you deserve the full story. If at any point you need to stop, tell me." "Okay. Okay," I said. "Your brother," he began, "came into the hospital. Very, very sick. He had a high fever. Severe pain. He was weak. We treated him for a serious infection. We did miss things," he said quietly. "That part your parents know. There were tests. We should have done sooner. Things we should have seen." My stomach twisted. "But after he died," he continued, "more testing was done on his blood. A team looked closer at his immune system. They discovered he had a rare immune disorder. His body could not fight infection the way most bodies can. Even a smaller infection could become deadly very fast for him." I gripped the edge of the table. "So even if they had brought him in sooner," I asked, "he might still have died?" There was a brief silence. "Maybe," he said honestly. "I won't lie. If he had come in on the first day of fever, his chances would have been better. Waiting days made it much worse. The hospital's mistakes also hurt him. Both things are true. But his condition meant he was at higher risk no matter what." I could feel my father's old story cracking. "Why didn't anyone tell us that?" I whispered. "We tried," Dr. Harris said. "We sent letters. We called. Your father never came back. He refused more meetings. He told us he didn't want excuses. He only wanted his son." He paused. "And we, as a hospital, failed in another way," he added. "We didn't push enough. We didn't drive out to your home. We didn't keep trying. We let a broken story stay broken. For that I am sorry." I wiped my eyes. "There's another reason I reached out," he said. "When they did those immune tests, they recommended the rest of the Emily be checked. Your parents. With conditions like that, sometimes one person has it badly. Others carry a milder version. It can affect how their body responds to infection. It can help us decide how aggressively to treat them. But your parents never came back. They never brought you in." Now, after seeing how quickly Lucy crashed after her appendix burst, I wonder if she might share a piece of that same weakness. Not as bad as your brother, but enough that we should know. A cold line went down my spine. You think Lucy could have what he had? I asked. I think, he said, that it's worth checking. Not to scare you. Not to put a label on her. But so that if she ever gets sick like this again we know. We don't wait. We move faster. We give her every chance. He paused. I can connect you, he said, with our genetics team. They can explain everything. You don't have to decide right now. But I think you should consider it. I thought about my parents turning away. From those phone calls I thought about living my whole life with only half the truth. I thought about Lucy on the floor. I'll do it, I said. I want to know, for her. A few days later I drove to my parents' house with that envelope. Same old steps. Same old porch. The wind chimes clinking softly. We sat at the kitchen table. I slid the paper across the table. What's that? My dad asked. Information, I said. About Michael. From the doctor who treated him. The same doctor. Who treated Lucy. My dad's face changed. He had no right, he started. He had every right, I cut in. And so do I. So does Lucy. My mom looked nervous. What did he say? She asked. I took a breath. He said what you already knew, I began. That there were mistakes. That the hospital missed things. But he also said what you never let yourselves hear. You waited days before bringing him in. A clinic doctor told you to admit him. You refused. And after he died they found a serious immune problem. They tried to tell you. You refused to meet. You refused to test the rest of us. You didn't want to hear anything that didn't fit your story. My dad's hands tightened on the table. We were grieving, he snapped. We didn't need their science talk. You needed the truth, I said quietly. So did I. So does Lucy. Your rule about hospitals came from half a story. You took your own guilt and their guilt and turned it into one sentence. Hospitals kill. You handed that sentence to me. And I handed it to Lucy when I walked out of that hospital too early. She almost died for a sentence that wasn't even the whole truth. My mom started to cry. We were so broken, she whispered. We thought if we never talked about it maybe it would hurt less. It didn't, I said. It just hurt the next child in line. My dad put his head in his hands. I couldn't stand the thought. That if we'd gone in sooner maybe he'd be alive, he said hoarsely. I blamed them because I couldn't face myself. I made a rule. So I never had to look at that. And then I forced you to live by it. I'm sorry. He had said it before. But this time it felt different. Like he really saw the layers. Like he knew that his fear had legs. I told them about the testing. I'm going to get tested, I said. And so is Lucy. We're going to see if any of that immune problem is still in our blood. If it is, we'll have a plan. If it isn't, we'll sleep better. But either way, we won't be blind anymore. My mom nodded, wiping her eyes. You're doing what we should have done, she said quietly. Yes, I said. I am, for me, for her, for the next generation. My dad just said, I don't like it, but I can't say anything anymore. You're her mother. You do what you think is right. At the genetics clinic, the walls were painted a calm light green. A woman in a white coat sat with us. She explained everything in simple words. We're going to take some blood, she told Lucy. We're going to look at the parts of your immune system you can't see. We're going to see if there are any little weak spots we should know about. Lucy looked nervous. Is it going to hurt? She asked. A small pinch, the woman said. Then it's over. Lucy looked at me. Should we do it? She whispered. I held her hand. Yes, I said. Because I don't ever want to stand in another hospital room and hear a doctor say, we would have done this differently if we had known. I want us to know now. She nodded. Okay, she said. Let's know. They took our blood. They said it would be a few weeks for full results. Those weeks felt long. Every time Lucy coughed, I tensed. But I also felt something new. We were not just waiting in the dark. We were moving toward light. When the results were ready, we went back. We sat in the same room. The same counselor held a folder in her hands. She smiled. I'm going to start with the biggest question, she said. Do either of you have the same severe immune disorder your brother had? I gripped my knees. The answer is no, she said. I exhaled so hard I got dizzy. But, she added gently, you both do have a milder difference in your immune system. Nothing as serious as your brother's, but enough that your bodies can sometimes react strongly to certain infections. It might explain why Lucy got so sick so quickly after her appendix burst. It doesn't mean you'll always be sick, but it does mean we should be extra careful. No more ignoring fevers for days. No more avoiding doctors out of fear. When in doubt, you come in. You tell them about this, and they will take your symptoms more seriously. She handed me a small card. This explains the condition in simple terms, she said. You can keep it in your wallet. You can show it to ER doctors, regular doctors, even school nurses. It doesn't have to define your lives. It just helps us keep you safer. I looked at the card. At my name. At Lucy's. Information. Not fear. For the first time I felt like we were ahead of the story instead of always behind it. Life moved on. Lucy grew older. We still had normal problems, homework, bills, moods. But our rules changed. If she said, something hurts and it feels wrong, we didn't ignore it. We didn't say, walk it off. You're fine. We listened. We called. We checked. Sometimes it was nothing big. Sometimes the doctor said, it's just a virus. Fluids and rest. Sometimes they gave antibiotics. Each time my dad watched carefully. The first time he came with us to a clinic visit after all this, I saw his jaw clench when the doctor walked in. But when the doctor listened to Lucy's lungs, smiled and said, good news, no pneumonia today, I saw something else in my dad's face. Relief. On the way home he said quietly, they didn't kill her. No, I said. They helped us know she's okay. He nodded slowly. It didn't erase what happened to Michael. It didn't erase what almost happened to Lucy. But it added a new piece to our story. Hospitals were no longer just the place where children die. They were the place where we check. Where we get answers. Where we move fast when we need to. One afternoon I walked past the kitchen table and saw Lucy writing something. She quickly tried to cover the paper. What are you working on? I asked. He hesitated, then showed me. At the top of the page in big letters she had written, to the kid who thinks it's their fault they got sick. I read further. Dear kid, if you got sick and a grown-up made a bad choice and you were alone when you were scared, it's not your fault. Your body is not bad. You are not trouble. You are not too much. Sometimes adults are scared and they act strange. Sometimes they tell you stories that are not all true. You still deserve help. You still deserve doctors. You still deserve to be listened to when you say, something feels wrong. From someone who knows. My chest felt tight. This is beautiful, I said. She shrugged, a little embarrassed. I kept thinking about other kids who might feel like I did, she said. On the floor. Thinking maybe it was my fault. I want them to know it's not. Can I keep a copy of this? I asked. For myself. He smiled a little. Yeah, she said. You can. So where are we now? We're not perfect. My parents still sometimes say things that make me flinch. Old habits are hard to kill. Sometimes I still hear that voice in my head saying, don't run to doctors. You're overreacting. You can't afford it. But now I know that voice isn't wisdom. It's fear. Fear from a man who lost a son. Fear from a woman who buried a child. Fear from a little girl who learned that asking for help was dangerous. I can listen to my fear without obeying it. I can love my parents without following their rules. I can feel guilty for what I did without letting that guilt destroy me. Most importantly, I can change. The chain that started with my brother's death. That ran through my childhood. That almost wrapped around Lucy's neck. That chain stops with me. If you're still here listening to this whole story, I want to talk to you directly now. Maybe you grew up with parents who told you never to trust anyone. Never to trust doctors. Never to make a scene. Maybe you learned to ignore your own pain because someone told you you were dramatic. Maybe you're a parent now and you catch yourself saying the same things your parents said, even though those words hurt you. If that's you, hear this. You are allowed to do it differently. You are allowed to say, my parents did the best they could with what they knew, but I'm going to do better with what I know now. You are allowed to love them and still say, no, I won't follow that rule. You are allowed to protect your child even if it disappoints your family. You are allowed to break the cycle. If you made it all the way to the end of this story, write something in the comments. Write, this stops with me. You don't have to say what this is. Could be fear of hospitals. Could be hitting. It could be silence. It could be anything that hurt you, that you refuse to pass on. This stops with me. And tell me where you're watching from, your state, your country. Because this whole story started in one small hallway with one little girl reaching for a phone. But maybe it can help someone far away reach for help a little sooner. Maybe it can help one person make a different choice in their own hospital nightmare. Thank you for listening. And if you're a parent, a grandparent, or even just someone who wants to do better, remember this. You can't change what already happened. But you can change what happens next.